Roaches in the back in the red Cadillac. Welcome back to another episode on the Big Dane podcast. Bow bow, zap zap, zip zap. That's my soundboard. JK, that'd be fun if I did have a soundboard. So how was your weekend, my peeps? Was it lovely? Did you get outside? Maybe had a little beach time? Love to hear it. And just as a little reminder, if you want that one-click stop for my podcast episodes, you can go to thebigdanepodcast.com/podcasts. If you want to send me a note, maybe it was something to tell me, maybe it's a secret, right? thebigdanepodcast.com/contact. So both areas are going to the site. How easy is that? And, as always, I would love to hear your feedback. If you want to give me a little review, please do so. You can go to ratethispodcast.com/thebigdanepodcast. So there you have it. Just providing it back to you so you know what is up. And, of course, as you all know, assuming, and it's not always good to assume, right? So you can follow me on Instagram and Facebook. Boom. All right, guys. So I don't really have any updates for any kind of walks that I went on. Nothing has been happening. But I have some funky stuff going on for you today. And given it's the summertime, I know summer's winding down and kind of sucks, but hey, it is what it is. We live in the Northeast. We get all the seasons usually. I think we skipped winter this past year, but generally, you get what I'm saying. So we can only enjoy summer for so long. So I'm going to give you some kind of just bad experiences that I've had maybe when vacationing. So I think maybe we all can attest to this. But, I want to hear your thoughts and maybe some of your trips you've been on. It obviously doesn't have to be like this long vacation that you had, or it could have even been like just literally like one night, right? So, all right, so I'm going to take you back to when I was just little Dane. And this was probably circa, 97 or 98. So my family and I, we did a little New England trip. Yeah. And popped through a few different states. And normally, when we would go on some of these like longer vacations together, we'd always rent a car, right? So we got a red Cadillac. Yeah, so we're just riding along, minding my own business. Scott and I were in the back seat, chilling, probably playing that game. What's it called? Are You There Yet? What a fun game that is. Did everyone play that? It's like a kind of like a card game, and then it would be like spot 5 cars with the license plate of Florida. You think, well, how the hell is that going to happen? Florida's nowhere near New England. Who the hell is driving up all this way? So it'd like literally be impossible. But yeah, we're just hanging on the back. I pull down the armrest, right, in the middle seat. Are you ready? So roaches pop out. They're just popping out, They're having a good time back when that armrest was closed, and now it's uncovered, like, oh my God, you found us. And I mean, as a kid, we're driving, like we're not pulling over anywhere, and I think Scott was able to just get it with a tissue, but it was just like, wow, like just to start off the trip, Roaches in the back in the red Cadillac. Oh my gosh. So, one of our stops, we went to Newport, Rhode Island. So, and I love Newport, being up there near Providence at school. It was just so fun to get over there to the beaches, little town. So, now we get to we're checking in, right? Mom, dad, you got this. I'm a little Dane. I don't know how this works, right? So, yes, reservation under Trimbaum. I swear they always get our name wrong. How hard is it? Trimborn. Trimborn. Like, there's no OUEOURENE, all the E's in the I's and, the bombs. No. I know. So, yeah, they're confirming with us, and then they brought us to our room, and then we get in there, and they're like, oh, this is all smoky. All smoky. Yeah. So my parents were like, oh, well, we have to go back. So we went back downstairs and we said, hey, like, this is a smoking room we reserved for a non smoking room. It's kind of interesting, like, back in the day, like, how you really have to specify. I feel like nowadays, or like, you don't think of it as much because, I mean, how often now are people asking for a smoking room? So then we get down there and they're like, yeah, we don't have anything available, but we have this suite for you. Okay, great. And so basically we go up again to the fourth floor and head on over to our room. And we open up the door and we thought, what? Like, is this a conference room? It literally looked like they just shoved like a bed in there, like one large king bed. And then it was like a little like sofa to like pull out, for your bed. And then it was kind of like that drop down ceiling with the fluorescent lights, right? So you could picture that. I mean, I thought we were in my dad's office back when he used to work for Allstate. I'm like, the hell? So that was kind of just interesting. But I mean, it worked. But, and, thinking and giving the time back then, my parents were saying how, like, it's like AAA approved and all this. So it's like, we're in the right area. Like, we don't need to worry about anything. So, because there wasn't any TripAdvisor, nothing like that where you can kind of look up reviews. And so different now. It's like, I feel like so many of us kind of rely on reviews and just to get that feedback and to kind of understand, like, was this good or was this not so good, right? So it's just kind of interesting there. So another ventures when we were in New England, we were up at Kennebunkport in Maine. And so now, the same thing, we're checking in, right? And this wasn't really like a hotel per se, but I feel like, to put into perspective, it almost reminded me like between like a hostel combined with like an Airbnb where you're trying to like have like everything of your own. And they told us that we had like a water view and it was gorgeous and the ocean is just right there for you, right? So we get there and we had to like go up these wooden steps and it's kind of like all outside, basically, kind of like a detached house. And we thought, where are we going? Like, what, like, Mom and Dad, what did you book? So we got up there, we're lugging all of our luggage, and I thought I was going to fall through the freaking steps. Yeah, because it was that, like, just not put together that well. And we get up into a room. They have a stove, next to the bed instead of a nightstand, right? And just, I mean, overall, just junky. And then you look over, like, oh, like maybe we could put some TV on. Well, TV didn't really work. Yeah. It was a really old school TV with an antenna. And honestly, like, again, that far back, I mean, I remember for the longest time, we would have this small little TV in our kitchen with the antenna. You had to play with it to get the connection. So I feel like they just like took this TV out of who knows where, junkyard, and maybe like a thrift shop. They're like, yeah, this looks good. It's gonna give us a little retro vibe, right? The customers will love it. And then so now we like get back to the room, like, or when I mean get back, I mean like we walk towards the back, so towards the balcony. Again, it was all wooden and just like rickety, and like we did not feel safe standing out there. But when we looked for that beautiful view, it was just like a marsh, and it was like disgusting. Like, come on. Like, this is what you're saying is like a beautiful view? And I'm wondering, like, given the time, that how how are people making reviews? Like, how do they gain that? Is it literally just people calling, like, yes, can you call this hotline review for Kennebunkport, Maine at Shack? Just because it was a shack. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what people did back then, but how it has changed. And then on our way back home, so we had water park tickets in New Hampshire. So we didn't want to waste them, but it was not the warmest day. And barely anyone was there. And I'm pretty sure, yeah, my Scott and I like begged my parents, like, can we still go? Because like we have the ticket, so like, hello, thought we're being frugal, right? Like, we'll just go. And dude, it was so cold. I don't know how Scott and I went in, but again, when you're kids, like, you don't care about this stuff and you just do it. Meanwhile, like now, like as an adult, like I'm not getting in any kind of water if it's not even like above 80 degrees. So, but we went on some of the slides and the tubes, but I kid you not, we got hot chocolate. I think it must have been like 50 or 60 degrees, maybe 55. And like, what? Like, why is the park even opened? Like, yeah, right? So, just a little craziness. So, tell me about maybe some of your road trips. Did you have some weird experience with maybe a car that you rented, or, a family vacation and shit just hit the fan? Tell me about it. So now I kind of just gave a little preview of this. And a recent pic from the other weekend when we were in the Poconos for Matt's birthday. Great time. It was nice to see some peeps, and some of his friends that he doesn't get to see that often. So Matt really wanted, some time on the lake, like a boat or a pontoon or something where we can just hang out, be outside. Because, I mean, with COVID, like, what else are we really gonna do? Because we thought about, like, could we like get a reservation somewhere outside to like have dinner, and then we thought it's just gonna be too crowded with how many people we were with. And like, all right, I know you're thinking like we weren't with like 30 people, but a large enough group where it's gonna be like insane to try to have a conversation and hang out outside, where we can just kind of just get takeout and just hang out at the house. So So, and that's what we did. So we figured, let's do something all together. That'll be the boat. So, mind you, when I was like researching and getting information, and they only have so much stuff online. And then when you call, it's like, oh, is that what that means? Because they don't spell it out. Like, they have either old prices or like, oh, you can rent this boat for 27 minutes. I thought, the hell is this? So, anyway, so I called, no problem. It's set. And I even thought, I'm like, wow, like I didn't get any confirmation number. I didn't get an email. So I was really just praying, like, shit, like this freaking boat better happen because I will be pissed. Just because it was Matt's birthday, and I was doing a lot of the planning, so I almost would have felt like responsible for like, if people like didn't have a good time and whatever. So we went from Friday to Sunday, and we planned Saturday for the boat. And I just had missed a call, so I go up and get my phone. I hear a voicemail, and got a voicemail saying that we got 2 pontoons, okay? They said, oh, our second pontoon isn't working. And then I thought, why do you only have 2 pontoons, right? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, wouldn't you have, I don't know, 5, 10, something more than 2? So instead of the second pontoon, they're like, okay, you'll have the 1 pontoon, and we're going to give you a fisherman's special. And I thought, oh, what is that? But apparently it's just more for like fishing, and I guess has maybe some extra seats in the back or whatnot. So, and they're like, yeah, like we'll comp it, like no big deal. So I'm like, okay, great. Yeah, we'll see you, at 3. So all good. Like, I still had some little feeling that, something else was going to happen. You know how you just get that like intuition, and even though they just try to fix it or try to problem solve, you still don't feel great about it. You know what I'm saying? So we get there and we check in, and well, I'm trying to check in, and then they're like, oh, you need to be a member here. And I thought, what? Apparently this was a private club. So now let me back up. So now you're telling me when I called at least twice, do you think anyone told me or asked me like, hello, ma'am? Yes, and can I take your member ID? No. No one said any of that shit. Like, who the fuck is working there? Well, I can tell you who's working there. Teenagers. Surprise, surprise. I mean, it's just kind of like, if you go to the shore and you got teenagers working these little huts, and they're the lifeguards and whatever, but, it's, I don't know. They didn't get the right training, apparently, and that sucks. I mean, for somewhere to be a private club, wouldn't you think that it would be, I don't know, high customer service and like just more accurate with things as opposed to something not being private? You would think, right? Like, they should be on this. Like, that should be the first thing coming out of your teenage mouth. God, not, yeah. So then I'm like, what? Like, we have a reservation. So I ended up talking to the manager, and meanwhile, my sister-in-law and my brother came over, and my brother's like, you look stressed. Who knew I looked stressed with my mask and sunglasses on? Jesus. But Abby, was just kind of reassuring me. She's like, no, it's going to be fine. Like, we're here. They're going to take our money. Cause I mean, honestly, it'd be kind of dumb, like for them to turn us away, like, cause then they'll lose money. And, oh, it reminds me, I need to leave them a review. So spoke with the manager. She accommodated us, she wanted us to have a good time. So great. We filled out our waiver forms and all that. And the funny thing was that she asked me, okay, ready for this? How did you get this number? I'm sorry, what? What do you mean, how did I get this number? Um, Back when there was, I don't know, AOL and the internet, something like that, and now it's 2020, we still have the internet. So, you tell me, there's a fucking number on your fucking website. Did you have a website? Maybe not. So, she was trying to like understand like who I spoke with, and I thought, I don't remember who I spoke with. Like I think I had written down like the name like on a piece of paper or in my spreadsheet in Google Sheets, because I had to like crunch numbers and whatnot for the whole weekend. But so then I was like, I don't know, like Chris. I'm like literally pulling names out of my ass, and then she's like, oh, well, I don't have a Chris. So then she started naming. And I told her, I'm like, dude, like, I called a month ago for this reservation. Like, how am I supposed to remember a staff member that obviously didn't stand out because he wasn't that good? And then she named like this other name. And then I was like, yeah, I spoke with him. So, but I could not believe she asked me that. But anyway, so then like that was one part. We filled it out, fill out the waiver forms, turn it in. Boom, done. Now you think, oh, can I pay here? Nope. You have to go down to the next area. Well, they're taking your money. Yeah. Like what? Where are we? So go down to this little hut and we're ready. Like this is going to be a great time. Here, they gave they gave our pontoon away. Yeah. After all of that, gosh, at that point, and I just wanted to like go back to the manager and be like, see, this is why you have like shitty staff, because they don't know what they're doing. But I didn't. And I left it. And because I thought, ultimately we do want to be here to use, the boats and enjoy ourselves. So, my sister-in-law had a good idea, and she said, how about like, we'll just go to the pool and while you figure it out, because they literally had no idea what was going on. I could literally see behind them, they had a little whiteboard with the time slots and had my name. It had my name right there. Like, are you not checking people's ID or some sort of like process to check people in? Obviously not. So get it together. So, we're hanging out at the pool. We're just like hanging and like, I can't believe this is happening. And about 15 minutes later, one of the staff member, he comes out, and it must have been him that I spoke with, but who knows. And he's like, oh, Donna? And I'm like, oh, I didn't realize my name was foreign. Also, I didn't know you were foreign, because the last people and that call me Donna is when I'm in Spain, or someone from a different culture, right? Because they pronounce their words and syllables like differently. So I'm like, Jesus Christ, like I'm like, oh yeah, it's Dana, and so he's like, okay, so I have, what he could offer us was like one pontoon. He said this, one pontoon and two smaller boats. So I'm like, all right, yeah, let's do it. Let's do the one pontoon, two small boats. So 3 total boats. He said those words, 3 total boats. So then I get up there, I pay, no problem. And as I was signing, I saw a little area for tip. This whole journey should be free at this point. Like, this is just absurd. So then, we start to get closer to the boats and see like what we're going to be on, because I'm trying to look for the pontoon. And at this point, I didn't say anything at all. I'm just like, just put me on the boat, will ya? So somehow we have four boats, four motorboats with the little paddles in it. And I thought, well, great. And then I thought, did I pay for four or did I pay for three? I mean, honestly, it wasn't that much like when we split it up anyway, but I was just like, really? So we were all like smeared in this motorboat and these long paddles um and then it was like everyone else like almost had their own boat. It was like their boat, like another two people, and also we did a little smuggling of alcohol when they said we couldn't. We concealed it, of course. But again, as you can see, I'm not naming places where we were at, so you have no idea. So, but yeah, we broke some rules, but totally worth it. And apparently, we couldn't swim in the lake, and I thought, why can't we swim in the lake? Here, we found out that there's rattlesnakes in the lake, which I didn't know could happen. But yeah, because we had gone out so far and like kind of like near this like little island. We kept calling this little island and just floated with our life jackets and hung out and then I think some staff people came around on the boat and was telling us about the rattlesnakes. We're like, oh shit, like we had no idea, but so that was pretty funny. Um, gosh. But yeah, and even the one couple, like their poor boat, like was really like it was struggling, and it was all, yeah, it was. Oh, so the way the boats were set up, they had like car batteries. Yeah, like you can't for being a private club, you can't get something a little bit better. Like how much are people spending here at the club? Ugh. But so their boat was just like really slow, and then they had to like change the battery, so then they were fine. But then we also had to keep an eye on the time, not just to get back, but because then they're donezo after 2 hours apparently. So while I wanted to take my time even more just because of the shitty experience, we had to get back. So that was Saturday. That was pretty insane, but it was just like literally like one thing after the other. And yeah, I mean, I'm just glad we were able to go out there and have fun, but just getting to that point was like a nightmare. And like, I'm like, I cannot believe this is happening. So that was our experience. Yeah, so and I actually haven't been up in the Poconos in quite a long time, so it's kind of nice to do something different as opposed to the shore. So let me know about your experiences, and just gonna wrap it up with some fun facts. So, fun facts. My driver's license, it says I'm 5 feet. And some of you would be like, but aren't you 5 feet, Dana? I know. I'm like almost there, but not quite. So this was like back in high school, right? When you're still growing, or at least I thought I was growing. Obviously not. I'm still short. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to hit 5 feet by next year, right? And then that never happened. So I'm like 4'11" and some change. Yeah. So the Big Dane is getting real here. And used to have braces. I had quite a gap and then in my two front teeth. So I've been wearing retainers at night since the 7th grade. Are they the same, you ask? The same retainers? They are not, because probably right around 4 years ago, they broke. I almost like had a panic attack because I'm like, oh my God, my teeth. Like, just been like so anal with them because your teeth do shift. So it's like your parents and the pain that you go through with braces and the brackets and this and that to put all the wax on it to make it feel comfortable. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to go through that again. So, and now like there's all like different solutions that, aren't as invasive and whatnot. But yeah, so I wear them at night, every night. Otherwise, my teeth are just gonna grow apart and be like totally messed up. So, so there, that is me. And yeah, I remember, and my friend, she could tell you this too. Like, this was like back in high school, we like hang out like every day, like every second. And I remember it was just kind of like an impromptu, like, oh, like, do you want to like stay over tonight and like have a sleepover? And I thought, oh my God, I don't have my retainers. Like, this is literally like what went through my head because I'm like, oh my God, one night without them, like, how much are they going to shift? And so it wasn't like terrible, but I did without it. But if you do it over and over, then not so good. Not so good because then you can't get it back. You can't get it back to where it was. So, little secret, but what's up? So, hope you enjoyed this episode and want to hear some of your crazy and fun and also bad experiences from your vacationing. Maybe even something happened during this whole pandemic situation and something weird happened. So, don't forget to listen. thebigdanepodcast.com/podcast. And, shoot me a little message back at the website, bigdanepodcast.com/contact. And be sure to rate it, subscribe on ratethispodcast.com/the Big Dane Podcast. And, you can follow me on IG and FB. And if you don't know what that means, that's Instagram and Facebook. And all the funky stuff is on my coffee page. And that vulture that I ran into the other week, that is up there for you. So let me know what you think. All right, my friends, I will chat with you next week.